All right, hey guys, back. In this video, we're going to talk about his two glimmers of hope. It's not going to last for very long. Charisma and capitalism. So remember, Weber sees this process of us becoming more and more means and rational, which is leading to more formal rationality, and formal rationality being structured in terms of bureaucracy. And what he sees over the course of history is the increasing bureaucratization of more and more elements of life. And Weber sees this at the societal level, and then just our focus on means and rationality at the individual level. He sees this as a big iron cage. We're addicted to efficiency, and there's no way out of it, except maybe charisma and capitalism. So let's talk about those things. Um, so in terms of charisma, we talked about that in terms of charismatic authority. It's the extraordinary personal qualities that an individual has. Um, what Weber said was, charisma can be an internal revolutionary force that changes the minds of the people who are following this charismatic leader. We can think about that. I mean, that is a true thing that has happened. Remember, he's a historian, so he's not just going to say, well, yeah, theoretically this could happen. After Weber's time, we see people. I use this example when we were talking about value rationality before, but we talked about the civil rights movement, and people followed Martin Luther King, who was a charismatic leader. He had charismatic authority, but it changed the way people thought about the way they should live their lives. That was a very significant thing that happened, and it really had that effect. So it is possible that if you get a charismatic person, and in the places where Weber saw it happening were in politics or perhaps public intellectuals. He also said scientists, that these could be potentially people who could get into people's minds ideas that are different than rationalization, than you need to be focused on efficiency, or that you need to be focused on, once you're in a bureaucracy, just climbing the bureaucratic ladder. If that sounds like it's kind of ending with a whimper, it's because it does. I mean, Weber didn't really think this was going to work. He said this is a possibility in this long flow of history, in which rationalization is holding more and more people. You have, if you think about this as a flowing river, there are eddies where you would have a charismatic leader who was able to get some people to think in other ways. But Weber doesn't. He sees the river going that way. The other place, and that's literally all I've got about that. It possibly charismatic leaders could change people's minds. I mean, what a ridiculously kind of hopeful but hopeless sounding, like kind of blindly optimistic. Except he's not. He's despairing. He's like, and maybe this will work. It's not. He doesn't really buy it. The second thing is capitalism, and capitalism for this reason. And Weber did not like capitalism, which, if you think about it, makes some sense. I mean, my big example of rationalization was McDonald's, which is kind of a quintessentially capitalist business. Weber didn't think that it was good. I mean, he liked the idea of the freedom of the entrepreneur, because remember, he's about free and autonomous people pursuing meaningful lives. And if you become an entrepreneur, you are creating something, and it's hard work. I'm not going to try to glamorize it and make it sound like it's just easy, but it is creative. I mean, Marx would even have kind of gone along with that aspect of it. So the owner is not a bureaucrat, is not somebody who is like inside that formal rational structure, and therefore he or she can say, yeah, you know what, we're not going to do it that way. Let's do it a different way. I could start a business and say, yeah, I know we would make more money if we if I made sure that, you know, every person had their own little office, that they're doing their own little thing. But if you guys think that that would be a drag, then I'll organize it differently. Yes, we will not be as efficient and we won't make as much money, but I've got the power to do that because I own the place. Weber saw that as a possible, I'm laughing because it's not going to last, but he saw that as a possible hopeful solution to this. But of course it's not going to last because it's not going to make me as much money, and I'm a capitalist and like I want to make money. That's the whole point of me opening this business for most capitalists. So there's your glimmers of hope for for Weber. Essentially what he would say for both of these, this is how he would answer himself. First of all, capitalism, you don't make as much money not being efficient, and therefore the bureaucratization process is going to suck you in. For charismatic leaders, it's hard to have well, first of all, leaders die, right? That's a charismatic leader is not always going to be at the forefront of an organization. And once we try to transition out of following this person and instead try to take those goals and make them not attached to that person, then we have to organize. And the way we organize is often, even then, in terms of bureaucracy. So that's it for Weber's hope. That's why he was pretty despairing about the whole thing. Next video, I will use his Protestant ethic and the spirit of capitalism as an example of where I see the potential for some hope. Now, Weber's smarter than I am, and he didn't go for this, so you know, it may not work. But I think it's a source of hope, and it is something that we will come back to in the conclusion of our Weber series about what he offers us, even though he would not say, I'm offering you anything about society. There is no society. There's just social interaction. I will, when I'm saying for the purposes of our class what we get from Weber, we'll talk about this idea that I'm going to talk about in the next video. So I will see you in that.